Piano tiles, all 20 versions of Osu, Beat Saber, Guitar Hero, Anime Girl, DDR. What do all these have in common? They are all in the rhythm game genre, and also fall short to the glory that is deemo. Yes, we are talking about the often overlooked yet goated game that is Deemo by Rayark Studios. On November 2013, it was released on all mobile stores. Good lord, that was a long time ago. The game was free to download, but the later content was locked behind a paywall. There was also additional content in the form of chapters that were absurdly expensive. I'm talking $5 Canadian for a single chapter that contained about 5 songs minimum. That's $3.99 for my American friends. If you had an Android though, which I did, everything can be free. This paywall was later lifted in Deemo version 4.0, but the Apple Store still has yet to do the same for Apple phones. To be honest, the gameplay was nothing innovative. It had the same layout as any regular rhythm game. The notes fall down in correspondence to the song that is playing, and you tap the notes when they get close to your little bar. Typical grading system, based on how perfectly you time your taps, missed notes, normal hits, and perfectly timed hits, which are known in this game as charming hits. Like its predecessors, you could achieve a perfect combo where you don't miss a single note, and additionally had the most coveted accomplishment in the game: all charming. The game operated off a percentage grading system, but you could always play the song all the way through even if you had a failing grade. There are always difficulty options on every song, the usual easy, medium, hard, and later they would add an extra difficulty. This was added in version 3.0. It's important to note that difficulty was also dependent on the song you chose to play. Some songs were just outright harder than other songs. One song's easy rating could be harder than another song's hard rating. I know what you're thinking. This game sounds exactly like any other old rhythm game. What makes this any different from piano tiles? And that's where I have to stop you, because I will not allow heresy to be spoken here. So you want to know what made Deemo so special? It was the story. Yes, it had the best story mode in a rhythm game ever. Does Piano Tiles have a story? I didn't think so. So suck my dick, Piano Tiles. I don't want to spoil the story, but here's my Cliff Notes version. A young girl who fell from the sky and now is hanging out with a piano-playing Slenderman who's also really nice, and they want to grow a sapling that's growing out of the piano to reach out of the abyss so the little girl can return home. There's a ton of other stuff going on as well, but I think it's just one of those things you gotta experience yourself. I remember playing this game for the first time and being so drawn into the world. It would take a good amount of time to progress the story, and the game didn't allow you to speedrun it through. Also, the home hub was really interactive. You could talk with all the NPCs that were around the area, you could interact with these little secrets, and sometimes there would be hidden songs in some areas of the map that you would have to go find. Sometimes you would find little notes that would explain a really crucial part of the pertaining lore, and this all led to you becoming more entrenched in the story and its characters. I was looking forward to each progression point, each cutscene, because there were so few and in between. Each plot point would answer some things, but also leave a ton more questions. I'm not saying the story is super complicated, but it was well written and had characters that you actually cared about. This is what made it a focal point of this game. You ever notice how every rhythm game released heavily utilizes pre-existing songs? Let me go back to Piano Tiles. All you do is play the most popular pop song out right now, and I objectively think that is super ass. If you're gonna create a music-based game, why not just have original music in it? You know which game has almost all original music? Yep, Deemo. Remember those chapters I mentioned before that were excessively expensive? I never realized it before this, but that shit was just an album release. Smaller artists were straight up releasing full albums through deemo. That's gotta be the only game to have been used in that way. And that's what makes this game so special. Every chapter you bought was a cohesive album that you could interact with, not only by listening, but by playing the songs in the game. Am I gassing this concept too much, or is that not the smartest idea ever? It was a win-win for everybody. The early artists that were given chapters in the base game were able to cultivate and grow a fan base. Artists like the band Millie, solo artists like VK and Rabpit, and many others got a huge push in popularity because of the game and how successful it was. Rayark got original music made by amazing artists without having to pay an absurd amount of money, and the fans got put onto all different types of great music and were able to interact with the art via gameplay. Genius stuff. With how wildly successful this franchise became, deemo got put on the Nintendo Store, getting its own port game on the Switch in 2017. A remake of the game was also created where all the assets were in 3D. This one got released on PlayStation 4 and also had VR capabilities. deemo 2 was announced to release on November 2020 and released on January 22nd. The ratings are still good, but I don't know if I personally like it as much as the original. There are a ton more microtransactions that feel scummy, not like buying an artist album, but more of let me buy something to help me progress the story faster. Also, I didn't super enjoy the fact that they shifted towards becoming more online based. The original game's charm was that you could play it anywhere, anytime. Granted, if you had wired headphones. Bluetooth headphones would never work because there's just a crazy amount of latency. Overall, I just feel like this game is heavily overlooked. When I was making this video, I was just checking to see if someone had already done it, because then I wouldn't do it, right? But nobody even talks about deemo in this fashion. I just feel like in the industry of rhythm games, it is so underrated, and I just want it to be recognized as one of the greats. So if you got the time, I recommend playing the first game, because first of all it's free, and second of all it's offline. These are some of my all-time favorite collections. If you want to check them out, the VK collection, absolute classic. This Millie collection as well. It actually freaked me out as a kid because the art was so scary, but the music super duper bangs. So also check all the other ones out I put on the screen. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. And let me know your favorite collection in the deemo series, and if you even knew about this game before. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.